Hi everybody, welcome back to 100% Max. So I hope you're all staying safe and keeping well out there. It's a very hot day again in the northeast, and it's absolutely amazing day today as well. Again, just like it was yesterday. Anyway, talking about Newcastle United. Yesterday we played against Aston Villa. If you haven't checked out the review for that, I suggest you go check it out. I'll put the link up in a card up here. But talking about Newcastle today, Newcastle have come out with some pretty reasonable news, and it is on the front of players, and that is the fact that Newcastle United have signed HWTL Manquillo to a 4-year deal, which is great for the club. He's an absolutely sensational fullback, and I'm sure he will continue to improve and provide a really great service for Newcastle in his career. Moving on to Andy Carroll, and he has signed a 1-year extension deal with the club, which is absolutely amazing as well, because after the way he played against Aston Villa yesterday, you know, that lad definitely needs to keep on playing for Newcastle and maybe even say out his career here at the Toon. Moving on, of course, to the ever-long debate of Matty Longstaff's contract, and he has signed a short-term agreement with the club, which will see him through till the end of this season, and then hopefully, you know, if the takeover finally gets announced, then, you know, hopefully Matty Longstaff will be tied down to a brand new contract. We can't be having with Matty Longstaff leaving the club on a free. We do not want to be having a situation like Chelsea had with Kevin De Bruyne or Man United had with Paul Pogba leaving the club and then them realising that they made a massive mistake and need to bring him back to the club. Moving on, of course, to the other news, and it is Nabil Bentaleb, Danny Rose and Valentino Lazaro have all signed extensions as well for their loan deals from their respective clubs. And of course, players also going out of the door as well this month will be Rob Elliott, long-serving Irish goalkeeper from Charlton Athletic. He came in back in the championship season for Newcastle United, and he's been a very good goalkeeper for the club, getting in 68 senior appearances for the team in his 9-year spell. So it will be a big miss to have Rob Elliott leaving the club this month, but you know, hopefully he will go on to some great stuff with the rest of his career. Moving on to Jack Colback, the Killingworth-born midfielder, of course, joined from the Mackhams back in 2014, and you know, he was okay at first. He had some pretty good games forward, but then he's just fell out of favour at Newcastle United, dropped down the pecking order. He went out on loan to a couple of different clubs, Nottingham Forest, just to name one out of the few that he went out on loan to. And, you know, I think it was always destined that he would be leaving the club at some point. Moving on to Jamie Sterry, another player that has been at the club for a very long time. You know, every time somebody seems to be on the out, and you know, Jamie Sterry always seems to survive being out the door, but this time is the time, unfortunately, that Jamie Sterry will be leaving the club when his contract expires, along with Rob Elliott and Jack Colback at the end of this month. And then, of course, other departures as well, not senior departures, but they are youngster departures from Newcastle United, and that is Luke Charman, Victor Fernandez and Liam Gibson and Nathan Harker, all going to be leaving the club. And you know, it's a shame because Victor Fernandez was a sensational youngster. You know, he just had that talent, and he came in from Barcelona as well during Rafa Benitez's period at the club. Luke Charman as well, great player. Liam Gibson also a great player. Nathan Harker as well, also a great player. So it'll be a shame to see them leaving the club. But you know, Newcastle United have all made with first signing in this window as well, and there is an old boy from the past, and it is Mark Gillespie. He left Newcastle United as a 16-year-old to go off to Carroll United. He got released by Newcastle at the age of 16. He went to Carroll United. He spent a little while there, and then he went off to Blythe Spartans, spent a little while there, and then went off to Walsall, spent a little bit there, and went off to Motherwell and spent a little bit there alongside Rolando Aarons, who was on loan at Motherwell for a little bit of time. And now Newcastle United have signed him from Motherwell, and he will be coming into the club at 28-year-old. Free agent, so Newcastle haven't paid a thing for to get him to the team, and I'm assuming that this might mean that Caldolo will probably be seeing the door in this window, or he could just be coming in to replace the vacant position that Rob Elliott will be leaving. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below on everything said in this video. You know, it's a shame that Rob Elliott has to go. He was a really great goalkeeper, and I do wish him all the very best in his future endeavours in football. But let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Until next time, remember to like, share, subscribe to 100% Mags. Also, watch out for the match preview coming up in either today or tomorrow for the Man City game in the quarterfinals against Man City for the FA Cup. And I'll see you all next time. Bye, lads.